Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to another video in the series of videos on Arms in the Man. So we have been covering Act 2 of Arms in the Man. So the events of Act 2 happen 4 months after the events of Act 1. So we see that the act is set in Petkoff Garden, and we see, first of all, we see Nicola and Luca talking, and we see that Nicola has been in this household for 10 years, and he knows many secrets in the household, and he knows how to play along with the whims and fancies of the masters so that he could have an ambitious future with the goodwill of the family. So that was the crust of that particular section. After that, we see that Major Petkoff came back from the war. He is greeted by the wife, and his wife is not so happy about the peace treaty. So they have a discussion, and then Petkoff also says that Sergius is very boring and he has been pretty weird about not getting promoted after being so unprofessionally leading the army to victory. So according to military etiquette, they could not promote him. So Sergius also arrives, and again Sergius is greeted by Catherine, Petkoff, and Raina. And Sergius says that he has decided to resign, which is shocking for everybody. But he feels like he did not get enough recognition and merit for what he did. What he did was actually heroic, but at the same time, it was foolish too. So he says that it was a cradle and grave of his military career. So while they are talking about military career and soldiering, Petkov and Sergius communicate about a certain Swiss officer in the Serbian army they met. And they also share a romantic story about how this Swiss officer was saved by two Bulgarian ladies, a mother and a daughter, both belonging to a rich household, because they were impressed by this man's manners and all. So it was a scandalous story which actually got popular in the military. So this is an instance of dramatic irony because Raina and Catherine knows that the ladies in the story, it is actually they themselves. But Petkov and Sergius, they are not aware of this. So they act like they are offended, and Sergius apologizes to the ladies, and Catherine actually takes Major Petkov inside to the library so that Raina and her fiance Sergius could spend some time alone. And next section is when they spend some time alone. We see that this is actually a very fake kind of relationship with lofty sentiments and over the top way of communicating with each other. So we sense that the relationship, the nature of relationship is actually fake, the relationship between Sergius and Raina. So after they also claim that they have achieved higher love, because this is not the usual kind of love, it is higher love. After that, when Raina goes in to get her hat to go out for a walk, Sergius meets Luca. And Sergius and Luca, they, through their exchange, it is revealed that Sergius and Luca, they have been having a relationship for maybe a few months. We don't know about that. So this was an ongoing relationship. And Luca reveals that both of them are actually making a fool of each other. Sergius and Raina, they are both unfaithful to each other. Luca reveals about hearing a man in Raina's bedroom, which is extremely scandalous news for Sergius. He does not believe it at once, but Luca says that she knows for a fact that the relationship between Sergius and Raina is fake, and the relationship between Raina and the strange man, it is actually real. And if the man comes back again, Luca is sure that Raina will marry the stranger. So this actually irritates Sergius a lot, and Sergius physically hurts Luca by grabbing her arms. And he also emotionally hurts her by saying that she has the soul of a servant. So, even though Sergius apologizes to her verbally, she wants Sergius to kiss her hand, kiss her arm, and treat her as equal, which Sergius does not agree with. And Luca goes in after that. Raina comes out, and they both are getting ready to go out for a walk when Catherine comes outside to the garden and takes Sergius inside um, to help Major Petkoff with some military arrangements. So this is the first chance for Catherine and Raina to talk with each other about the Swiss soldier or Swiss officer who was mentioned by the men before. And we see Raina's attitude. She doesn't care anymore. She actually doesn't care if Sergius comes to know about the presence of a strange man in her room. She also says that, she says very endearingly, adoringly about this other man, the chocolate cream soldier. If he was in front of me, I would cram his mouth with chocolate creams and all. And this is very shocking to Catherine. And Catherine gets very doubtful about the intimacy between the stranger and stranger and Raina. So that is where we stopped the last video. Now Raina has exited the scene. Catherine is alone on the stage, and Luca comes in bearing an important piece of information. So that was just a recap of what we covered till now. So let's move on and see what happens after this in Act 2. Now Raina has gone out, and we see Luca comes from the house with a salver, which she carries hanging down by her side.
Well,
There's a gentleman just called, madam, a Serbian officer.
the Serbian, how dare he? Oh, I forgot. We are at peace now. I suppose we shall have them calling every day to pay their compliment. Well, if he's an officer, why don't you tell your master? He's in the library with Major Serrano. Why don't you come to me?
But he asks for you, madam, and I don't think he knows who you are. He said the lady of the house. He gave me this little ticket for you.
Captain Bluntschli? That's a German name.
Swiss, madam, I think.
Swiss? What is he like?
He has a big carpet bag, madam.
Oh heavens, he has come to return the coat. Send him away. Say, we're not at home. Ask him to leave his address and I'll write to him. Oh, stop. That will never do. Wait. The master and the Major Saranov are busy in the library, aren't they?
Yes, madam.
Bring the gentleman out here at once. And be very polite to them. Don't delay. Here, leave that here. And go straight back to him.
Yes, madam.
Luca?
Yes, madam.
Is the library door shut?
I think so, madam.
If not, shut it as you pass through.
Yes, madam.
Stop. You will have to go out and the way. Tell Nicola to bring his bag after him. Don't forget.
His bag?
Yes, here, as soon as possible. Be quick.
Okay, Luca runs into the house. Catherine snatches her apron off and throws it behind a bush. She then takes up the salver and uses it as a mirror, with the result that the handkerchief tied around her head follows the apron. A touch to her hair and a shake to her dressing gown makes her presentable.
Oh, how can a man be such a fool? Such a moment to select.
Luca appears at the door of the house announcing.
Captain BLUNTSCHLI.
She stands aside at the top of the steps to let him pass before she goes in again. He is the man of the midnight adventure in Raina's room, clean, well brushed, smartly uniformed, and out of trouble, but still unmistakably the same man. The moment Lucas' back is turned, Catherine swoops on him with impetuous, urgent, coaxing appeal.
Captain Bluntschli.
So now Raina actually has gone into the house. Catherine is alone on the stage. Luca comes in to see Catherine. So she is bringing news. Luca announces that a visitor has come for her. And this visitor is actually a Serbian officer. How does she knows that this is a Serbian officer? because this visitor is actually wearing a Serbian army uniform. That is how Luca knows that it is a Serbian uniform. But he has a Swiss name. And at first, Catherine becomes really angry. What is a Serbian officer doing there here? How dare they? Then all of a sudden, Catherine remembers that the war is now over and Serbian officers can actually come and greet them and meet them in their houses. So, anyway, then Luca reveals that this person's name is Captain Bluntschli. Now, Captain Bluntschli, that name sounds like a German name to Catherine. But Lucas says that this man is actually a Swiss man. So for the first time, we have a name for the strange man in Raina's room. His name is Captain Bluntschli. So Catherine is extremely shocked at the mention of the of the Serbian officer with a Swiss name. This could be Raina Stranger. And finally, we get a name for the mystery visitor of Raina. Now, Catherine gets really nervous. Why is she nervous? Because the men are in the household. Major Petkov and Sergei Saranov are in the household. She doesn't want Captain Bluntschli running into Petkov and Sergius because if they come to know about Raina's night encounter with Captain Bluntschli, that would be the end of her engagement with Sergius and probably it would cause a big heartache for her father. Her father will not be able to live with himself after that. So Catherine becomes really nervous, and Catherine orders Luca to bring the man around to the garden. Instead of taking the man into the house, വീടിന്റെ സൈഡ് വഴി ഗാർഡനിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരാനാണ് പറയുന്നത്. So Luca is instructed to bring the man around to the garden, and she also gives another instruction. She asks Luca to close the library door so that Sergius and Petkov won't come out immediately and see the man, probably. And Luca says that this man, Captain Bluntschli, is carrying a big carpet bag. And what must be in this carpet bag? ഈ carpet ബാഗിനകത്ത് most probably it will be Major Petkov's old coat. You remember it, they actually, the ladies dress Captain Bluntschli in an old coat belonging to Major Petkov. And that is how they disguised him and saved him at the night of the fusillade. So Catherine orders Nicola. She actually says, tells Luca to tell Nicola to bring the bag to the garden. So this is a very important instruction. It will come handy later. So Catherine is extremely nervous and frantic. First, she says Luca to bring the man to the garden. Second thing is she asks Luca to close the library door. Third thing is she asks Luca to tell Nicola to bring Captain Bluntschli's carpet back to the garden. Then Catherine is extremely nervous now, but she tries to make herself presentable because it's really just past breakfast time. This is a very cold country. People don't have the habit of getting up really early in the morning. So she hasn't had a chance to wash her face or do her makeup or anything. She's still wearing her house dress, and on top of it, she's wearing a very old coat. So she looks at herself in the reflection of a tray or something. She tries to make herself presentable, and says to herself, oh, how can a man be such a fool? Such a moment to select. Why did he come today of all days when both the men are in the house? Couldn't he have come 2 days earlier or something? So she's really angry at the man. At the same time, she is also nervous. So let's see what happens when Captain Bluntschli finally arrives in the household.
Captain Bluntschli, I am very glad to see you, but you must leave this house at once. My husband has just returned with my future son-in-law, and they know nothing. If they did, the consequences would be terrible. You are a foreigner. You do not feel our national animosities as we do. We still hate the Serbs. The effect of the peace on my husband has been to make him feel like a lion balked of his prey. If he discovers our secret, he will never forgive me, and my daughter's life will hardly be safe. Will you, like the chivalrous gentleman and soldier you are, leave at once before he finds you here?
Once, gracious lady, I only came to thank you and return the coat which you lent me. If you will allow me to take it out of my bag and leave it with your servant as I pass out, I need detain you no further.
Oh, you must not think of going back that way. This is the shortest way out. Many thanks. So glad to have been service to you. Goodbye.
But my bag!
It shall be sent on. You will leave me your address.
True. Allow me.
He takes out his card case and stops to write his address, keeping Catherine in an agony of impatience. As he hands her card, Petkoff, hatless, rushes from the house in a fluster of hospitality, followed by Sergius.
My dear Captain BLUNTSCHLI.
Oh heavens! He's too preoccupied to notice as he shakes BLUNTSCHLI's hand heartily.
Those stupid people of mine thought I was out here, instead of in her library. I saw through the window. I was wondering why you didn't come in. Saranov is with me. You remember him, don't you?
Sergius again.
Welcome, our friend, the enemy.
No longer the enemy, happily. I hope you come as a friend, and not on business.
Oh, quite as a friend, Paul. I was just asking Captain BLUNTSCHLI to stay to lunch, but he declares he must go at once.
Impossible. BLUNTSCHLI, we want you here badly. We have to send our three cavalry regiments to Philippopolis, and we don't in the least know how to do it.
Philippopolis? The forage is the trouble, eh?
Yes, that is, and he sees the whole thing at once.
I think I could show you how to manage that.
Invaluable man, come along.
Towering over BLUNTSCHLI, he puts his hand on his shoulder and takes him to the steps. Petkoff following. Now, the men are going inside, and RAINA suddenly comes out from the house as BLUNTSCHLI puts his foot on the first step. Oh, the chocolate cream soldier! BLUNTSCHLI stands rigid. Sergius is amazed. He looks at RAINA, then at Petkoff, who looks back at him, and then at his wife. Everybody is confused at this point. My dear RAINA, don't you see that we have a guest here? Captain BLUNTSCHLI, one of our new Serbian friends. RAINA bows. BLUNTSCHLI bows. How silly of me. I made a beautiful ornament this morning for the ice pudding, and that stupid Nicola just put down a pile of plates on it and spoiled it. I hope you didn't think that you were the chocolate cream soldier, Captain BLUNTSCHLI.
I assure you I did. Your explanation was a relief.
And since when, Ray, have you taken to cooking?
Oh, whilst you were away, it is her latest fancy.
And has Nicola taken to drinking? He used to be careful enough. First, he shows Captain BLUNTSCHLI out there when he knew quite well I was in the library. And then he goes downstairs and breaks Raina's chocolate soldier. He must.
Now, Nicola appears at the top of the steps with the bag. He descends, places it respectfully before BLUNTSCHLI, and waits for further orders. General amazement. Nicola, unconscious of the effect he is producing, looks perfectly satisfied with himself. Nicola has come. When Petkoff recovers his power of speech, he breaks out at him with,
Are you mad, Nicola?
Sir?
What have you brought that for?
A lady's orders, sir. Luca told me that.
My orders? Why should I order you to bring Captain BLUNTSCHLI's luggage out here? What are you thinking of, Nicola?
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm sure. My fault, madam. I hope you'll overlook it.
You better go and slam the back too. Down on Miss Raina's ice pudding.
This is too much for Nicola. He doesn't know anything about the ice pudding.
Begone, you butterfinger donkey.
Yes, sir.
Oh, never mind, Paul. Don't be angry.
Scoundrel, he's got out of hand while I was selling. I'll teach him. Oh well, never mind. Come, BLUNTSCHLI, let's have no more nonsense about you having to go away. You know very well you're not going back to Switzerland yet, until
Captain Bluntschli, I am very glad to see you, but you must leave this house at once. My husband has just returned with my future son in law, and they know nothing. If they did, the consequences would be terrible. You are a foreigner. You do not feel our national animosities as we do. We still hate the Serbs. The effect of the peace on my husband has been to make him feel like a lion balked of his prey. If he discovers our secret, he will never forgive me, and my daughter's life will hardly be safe. Will you, like the chivalrous gentleman and soldier you are, leave at once before he finds you here?
Once, gracious lady, I only came to thank you and return the coat which you lent me. If you will allow me to take it out of my bag and leave it with your servant as I pass out, I need detain you no further.
Oh, you must not think of going back that way. This is the shortest way out. Many thanks. So glad to have been service to you. Goodbye.
But my bag!
It shall be sent on. You will leave me your address.
True. Allow me.
He takes out his card case and stops to write his address, keeping Catherine in an agony of impatience. As he hands her card, Petkoff, hatless, rushes from the house in a fluster of hospitality, followed by Sergius.
My dear Captain BLUNTSCHLI,
Oh heavens! He's too preoccupied to notice as he shakes Bluntschli's hand heartily.
those stupid people of mine thought I was out here instead of in her library. I saw through the window. I was wondering why you didn't come in. Saranov is with me. You remember him, don't you?
Sergius again.
Welcome, our friend, the enemy.
No longer the enemy, happily. I hope you come as a friend and not on business.
Oh, quite as a friend, Paul. I was just asking Captain Bluntschli to stay to lunch, but he declares he must go at once.
Impossible. Bluntschli, we want you here badly. We have to send our three cavalry regiments to Philippopolis, and we don't in the least know how to do it.
Philippopolis? The forage is the trouble, eh?
Yes, that is. And he sees the whole thing at once.
I think I could show you how to manage that.
Invaluable man. Come along.
Towering over Bluntschli, he puts his hand on his shoulder and takes him to the steps. Petkoff following. Now, the men are going inside, and Raina suddenly comes out from the house as Bluntschli puts his foot on the first step. Oh, the chocolate cream soldier! Bluntschli stands rigid. Sergius is amazed. He looks at Raina, then at Petkoff, who looks back at him, and then at his wife. Everybody is confused at this point. My dear Raina, don't you see that we have a guest here? Captain Bluntschli, one of our new Serbian friends. Raina bows. Bluntschli bows. How silly of me. I made a beautiful ornament this morning for the ice pudding, and that stupid Nicola just put down a pile of plates on it and spoiled it. I hope you didn't think that you were the chocolate cream soldier, Captain Bluntschli.
I assure you I did. Your explanation was a relief.
And since when, pray, have you taken to cooking?
Oh, whilst you were away, it is her latest fancy.
And has Nicola taken to drinking? He used to be careful enough. First, he shows Captain Bluntschli out there when he knew quite well I was in the library. And then he goes downstairs and breaks Raina's chocolate soldier. He must.
Now, Nicola appears at the top of the steps with the bag. He descends, places it respectfully before Bluntschli, and waits for further orders. General amazement. Nicola, unconscious of the effect he is producing, looks perfectly satisfied with himself. Nicola has come. When Petkoff recovers his power of speech, he breaks out at him with,
Are you mad, Nicola?
Sir?
What have you brought that for?
A lady's orders, sir. Luca told me that.
My orders? Why should I order you to bring Captain Bluntschli's luggage out here? What are you thinking of, Nicola?
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm sure. My fault, madam. I hope you'll overlook it.
You better go and slap the back too. Down on Miss Raina's ice pudding.
This is too much for Nicola. He doesn't know anything about the ice pudding.
Begone, you butterfinger donkey.
Yes, sir.
Oh, never mind, Paul. Don't be angry.
Scoundrel! He got out of hand while I was away. I'll teach him, infernal blackguard. The, the sack next Saturday. I'll clear out the whole establishment.
Now, you mustn't be angry. You mustn't be angry. Wow, not on your first day home. I'll make another pudding. He meant no harm. Be good to me, please, dear. Shh, shh, shh.
Oh well, never mind. Come, Bluntschli, let's have no more nonsense about you going away. You know very well you're not going back to Switzerland yet. Until you do go back, you'll stay with us.
Oh, do, Captain Bluntschli.
Now, Catherine, if it's for you, he's afraid. Press, press him, and he'll stay.
Of course. I shall only be too delighted if Captain Bluntschli really wishes to stay. He knows my wishes.
I am at Madame's orders.
That settles it. Of course.
You see, you must stay.
Well, if I must, I must.
That's the end of Act 2. So, in the next section of Act 2, we see that Captain Bluntschli has entered the stage. So, he's not like when we first saw him in Act 1. When we first saw him, he was in a very tattered state. He had mud, blood, and snow all over him. He hadn't slept for 3 days in a row, and he was on the run too. But now, when we see Captain Bluntschli, he enters very smartly dressed and extremely handsome, and he's in a much better state than the night of the adventure. So we see a perfect picture of an extremely handsome young man. So Catherine requests Captain Bluntschli to leave the house immediately. She says that the men of the household are there. Sergius and Petkoff are there in the household, and you are still a foreigner. You do not know, even though the war has ended, they still share the national animosities. They won't like a Serbian officer in the house. So she's actually making up excuses so that Captain Bluntschli would leave as soon as possible. Also, if they come to know about your encounter with Raina, they both will be extremely angry at you, and that can actually cause a sparring of tempers in men. So she's worried about the animosity, and she's worried about complications if Raina's secret is revealed and Raina's prior engagement or prior encounter with Bluntschli is revealed to the men. So Bluntschli, we can see that he came to the household extremely hopeful. But now, even before greeting Bluntschli, Catherine, the mother of Raina, has asked Captain Bluntschli to go away from the house as soon as possible. Even though it was said in a very polite manner, Captain Bluntschli is asked to leave the house immediately. So we can actually see Captain Bluntschli being disappointed at this instruction. So that actually gives us the impression that Captain Bluntschli took the trouble of coming to the household to return the coat so that maybe he could catch a glimpse of Raina. റൈനയെ കൂടെ ഒന്ന് കാണാൻ വേണ്ടി ആയിരിക്കുമല്ലോ ക്യാപ്റ്റൻ ബ്ലൻഷ്ലി വന്നത് എന്നൊരു പ്രതീക്ഷ നമ്മളുടെ ഉള്ളിൽ വരുന്നു. And then Catherine further adds that Captain Bluntschli, you have to leave immediately. So Captain Bluntschli says, but what about my bag? I want my bag back. It's a very big bag, a carpet bag. So Catherine says, you leave your address with me, I will send it to you. So while Captain Bluntschli is taking out his wallet so he can give his name card, and as he is about to leave, Catherine is extremely nervous by now. She is very impatient. She is thinking why this man is not making it fast enough. Now, as Bluntschli is about to leave, another twist comes. There is another turn of events. Major Petkoff barges in because he has noticed from the library window that Captain Bluntschli is outside, and he actually knows Captain Bluntschli because we actually saw the mention of Captain Bluntschli by Major Petkoff and Sergius. They might have met. Actually, they met at the end of the war because they were
talking business about exchanging horses for prisoners or something like that. So he saw Captain Bluntschli and he wanted to meet Bluntschli. So that is why he is running from the library. So he's not even wearing a hat. So he is afraid that Captain Bluntschli would leave so soon. So even without wearing a hat, he runs out of the house and takes Bluntschli in. Now he asks Bluntschli to come in, and he thinks that it was Nicola's wrong, or it was Nicola's mistake that he guided Captain Bluntschli to the garden when he knew that Petkoff was in the library. നിക്കോളയ്ക്ക് അറിയായിരുന്നല്ലോ പെറ്റ്കോഫ് ലൈബ്രറിയിലാണെന്ന്. പിന്നെ എന്തിനാ പെറ്റ്കോഫ് നിക്കോള ബ്ലൻഷ്ലിയെ ഗാർഡനിൽ കൊണ്ടുവന്നത്? സോ നിക്കോളയ്ക്കാണ് ഇവിടെ പഴി മൊത്തം കേൾക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങിയത്. സോ പെറ്റ്കോഫ് ഇസ് ഗെറ്റിംഗ് എ ലിറ്റിൽ angry at Nicola now. At this point, Sergius also follows Petkoff, and Sergius also welcomes the Swiss officer. So, you see, this is just like a restoration comedy. At the end of restoration comedy, all the characters who were not seeing each other until that moment, they come on the stage. For better understanding, just try to think of a Priyadarshan movie. ലൈക്ക് വെട്ടം പോലെ ഒരു മൂവി, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മഴ പെയ്യുന്നു മദ്ദളം കൊട്ടുന്നു, അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയുള്ള ഒരു മൂവീസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. അതുപോലത്തെ ഒരു മൂവിയിൽ ഏറ്റവും ലാസ്റ്റ് സീനിൽ അതുവരെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്, പരസ്പരം കണ്ടിട്ടില്ലാത്ത ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്, എന്നാൽ അവർ ദേ ആർ പ്ലേയിങ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് റോൾസ് ഇൻ ഈച്ച് അതേഴ്സ് ലൈഫ്സ്. They all come to the stage together, or to the scene together, and they start interacting with each other, which will lead to utter chaos. അതുപോലൊരു സീനാണ് ഇനി നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത്. All the characters are actually piling up on stage one after the other. So this is what is happening. Look at Catherine's expression. She is so confused now. She doesn't know how to handle this situation. This is Major Petkoff. He is getting angry at Nicola. He's wondering why Nicola has brought Captain Bluntschli to the garden instead of to the library. And this is Sergius. Look at him, all heroism. And this is Captain Bluntschli. He's wearing a different uniform. He's wearing a blue tunic belonging to the Serbian army. Let's see what happens after this. Now there is Bluntschli, Catherine, Petkoff, and Sergius on the scene. And Catherine tries to manage the situation. She says that, I met the visitor. I was actually asking Captain Bluntschli to stay for lunch, but it seems like Captain Bluntschli is rather busy. He has to leave immediately. Now, Sergius and Petkoff, they both are disappointed. They want Bluntschli's help now. Because Sergius and Petkoff, they have been trying to find a good route to send soldiers and horses to Philippopolis. വാറൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഇനി ഫിലിപ്പോപോലിസ് വഴി വരെ ഒരു റൂട്ട് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കണം. And they are not that good in that job. So they know that Captain Bluntschli is extremely good in military affairs. So Sergius and Petkoff actually wants Bluntschli to stay back and help them with this particular task. And that shows that Bluntschli has great trade knowledge, and that is mentioned again. So Catherine is frantic about trying to save the reputation of her daughter. And it is fixed, and all the men, they are trying to go into the house. Sergius, Petkoff, and Bluntschli, they are going to the steps of the house. As they are about to enter the house, Raina all of a sudden comes into the garden from inside the house. And then she sees the visitor. She's so surprised and shocked at the same time, and without thinking, she blurts out, "The chocolate cream soldier." She's so pleasantly surprised. ഇയാളെ കണ്ടപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് സന്തോഷം സഹിക്കാൻ വയ്യ. Also she is surprised, and without thinking she blurts out, "The chocolate cream soldier." And the situation is getting out of hand now. Now everybody is confused. Sergius is confused. What is this chocolate cream soldier? Petkoff is really confused. What is Raina talking about? And Catherine says, "Ellam boy, everything is done for." And Raina also realizes her mistake now. And Bluntschli knows that Raina calls him chocolate cream soldier, but he can't react to it at this situation. Now everyone remains confused and rigid, and they are not able to grasp the meaning of Raina's words. Now, in the scene, we have Bluntschli, Catherine, Petkoff, Sergius, and Raina. So all the important characters are on the stage. Now, Catherine again quickly tries to save the situation by introducing Raina to the Serbian officer. Catherine says, "Raina, what are you talking about? Don't you see that we have a visitor? He's a Serbian officer. His name is Captain Bluntschli." So Then Raina bows and Bluntschli also bows as if they are seeing each other for the first time. This is also dramatic irony because we know, the audience knows that they already know each other pretty well. Now, all of a sudden, Raina has to give some explanation for blurting out chocolate cream soldier. So she makes up a story about the story that she made a chocolate ornament that morning to decorate an ice pudding. So the ornament was in the shape of a soldier. And Nicola put a pile of plates on it and crushed it. So that blame is also falling on Nicola. Now, do you see what Nicola was talking about in the beginning of Act 1? All the weird things that goes on in the household, which is done by one person or the other, the blame always ends up on the servants. That is the plight of servants in the household. So Raina says that she made a chocolate cream soldier in the morning and Nicola crushed it by putting a pile of plates on it. Now, Catherine and Raina, they try to set the moment straight. And this is again a very laughable situation for the audience because they know that that is not what happened. They know the reality about chocolate cream soldier and how Nicola has now got to take the blame. Now Petkoff gets really angry because Petkoff is already angry at Nicola because he brought Bluntschli to the garden instead of the library. And he got a second reason to get angry at Nicola because Nicola apparently broke Raina's chocolate cream soldier. And what happens at the same moment is extremely dramatic because Nicola got instruction from Catherine to bring Captain Bluntschli's carpet bag out into the garden. So at the very same moment, as instructed by Catherine, Nicola brings Bluntschli's carpet bag to the garden and places it before Captain Bluntschli. പെട്ടെന്ന് ബാഗ് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് ക്യാപ്റ്റൻ ബ്ലൺഷ്ലിയുടെ കാലിന്റെ അടുത്തായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് വെച്ചു. And he feels like he did a perfect job and he's looking at everybody and smiles. And this makes Petkoff even further angry. And Petkoff is really mad at him now. And Petkoff says, "What are you doing now?" Huh? പെറ്റ്കോഫിന് നേരത്തെ ഒരു സംശയമൊക്കെ തോന്നി ബിക്കോസ് റൈന നെവർ അടുക്കളയിലൊന്ന് കാലെടുത്ത് കുത്തിയിട്ട് പോലുമില്ല. ഷീ ഹാസ് നെവർ സ്റ്റെപ്ഡ് ഇൻ ടു ദ കിച്ചൺ at least once in her lifetime. So he is asking when did she start cooking? And Catherine says, അടുത്തിടയ്ക്ക് കിട്ടിയ ഒരു പുതിയ ഹോബിയാണ്. അപ്പോഴാണ് നിക്കോള ബാഗുമായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ പെറ്റ്കോഫ് is already angry at Nicola for doing two things wrong. That is when Nicola brings the carpet bag out. And Petkoff says, "What have you brought that for?" And Nicola says, "My lady's orders." Catherine പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് കൊണ്ടുവന്നതെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് Catherine denies giving that order because she has to save herself now. My orders, I did not give you any order like that. What are you thinking of, Nicola? And this is again another instance when Nicola played along with his employers to be on their good books. Nicola, because he is a wise servant, he understands the situation now. He says, "I'm sorry, it was my mistake." So he owns up that mistake, even though it was actually Catherine who asked him to bring the luggage out to the back. He says that it must have been his mistake anyway. And Petkoff gets really angry now. And you see, the lady's trying to console Petkoff. And Nicola actually takes the bag and goes into the house. Again, now Petkoff gets really angry. Petkoff says, "Scoundrel, he's got out of hand while I was away. I'll teach him, infernal blackguard, the sack next Saturday." Okay, he's getting very angry. He calls him bad names like scoundrel, blackguard. "I will sack him, I will fire him from the job." ജോലിന്ന് പിരിച്ചുവിടും ഇനി ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്താൽ. So both the ladies, the mother and daughter, they try to console an angry Petkoff. "See, you mustn't be so angry, not on your first day back from the army. So Nicola meant no harm. Please be good." And Raina says, "I'll make another ice pudding. Shh, don't be angry." So പെണ്ണുങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ പറയുന്നോണ്ട് finally Petkoff becomes okay. Now, this is again dramatic irony because the audience and ladies are aware that Nicola hasn't done anything wrong. And then Petkoff invites Bluntschli to stay at the house till he leaves the country. So Petkoff says that I know that you are not going back to Switzerland immediately. So till you go back to Switzerland, you have to stay with us. Now, Raina also requests Bluntschli to stay. And this actually annoys Catherine because Catherine has already expressed her wishes that uh, Captain Bluntschli has to leave the household immediately. So Sergius is also interested in having Bluntschli stay in the house. So the final decision is based on Catherine. So everyone says, Catherine, it is up to you. Press him. He'll stay. You have to really press him to stay. നീ നിർബന്ധിച്ചാലേ അയാൾ നിൽക്കുള്ളൂ. So Catherine പറയുന്നു, I shall be only too delighted if Captain Bluntschli really wishes to stay. He knows my wishes. Captain Bluntschli knows my wishes. ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ വിഷൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് എന്താ? Her wishes are that Captain Bluntschli shouldn't stay here. But anyway, she has to say that Captain Bluntschli should stay now. So anyway, Captain Bluntschli accepts the offer. Although he knows that Catherine doesn't want him to stay, still he stays. Why? Maybe because he wants to see Raina for a longer period of time. We don't know. Captain Bluntschli, when we first met him, he was extremely a practical kind of man. But now you see him behaving in a romantic way. The practical Captain Bluntschli wouldn't have stayed in his household. But we see that there is a certain change in Captain Bluntschli too. Now Raina seems excited that the man is staying too. And the man is also very excited. Captain Bluntschli is also excited. Raina says, see, you must stay. And Captain Bluntschli says, well, if I must, I must. So they both seem extremely content with the third turn of event. They are extremely happy that they get to be together for a period of time. So it suggests that they seem happy again to be in each other's presence. So that brings us to the end of Act 2. And I hope you have enjoyed Act 2. So at the end of Act 2, the events have been further complicated. All the important personalities are actually, characters are under one roof. Anything can happen in Act 3. Let's see if it gets further complicated or if it is going to be settled, resolved in the best manner. So that is the end of Act 2. I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed listening to us, and hope you watch more videos to come in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for listening. Have fun. Bye.